and breaking down this week's Darlington Goodyear 400. It's Geek. It's Taco. We've been rolling, Taco. Last week, I feel like we gave out the recipe for winners right here on the show. We talked about Larson and Hamlin. They're really good at 1.5 mile tracks, intermediate. What are we looking at this week?
Well, we had a pretty awesome finish last week. I'll tell you what. I don't think anyone was on Busher, but that was one
That was
hell
crazy.
of a fucking race. Kansas never fails.
Sadly,
we were looking at
I
mean, this week. We were looking at kind of a carnage fest of the intermediate tracks. This is one with the most projected cautions so far in the year because the over 8.5 is favored over the under 8.5 for Rex. That's a lot of Darlington stripes to be handed out, and so far in the lower series we've had a chalk nuclear holocaust. Has been the theme of the week so far. We've had 70% owned chalk, 60% owned chalk just get annihilated. And that's the thing about this track. It doesn't care who you are. It takes out a bunch of people every race.
What is it about Darlington? Because, and I feel like in Truck Series, 5 of my and one wreck, everybody who I had just wrecked. It was like in one fell swoop. It was horrific.
You gotta really push it here, right? You gotta be on the razor's edge, and sometimes the razor cuts you.
You know who's got some crazy odds this week that you would not expect and is now priced as a super stud?
The one whose teammate also has odds you wouldn't expect and is priced as a super stud?
Yes. Why? What is going on with, are we keeping a secret with Keselowski and Busher that now they're up ranked ahead of pretty much everybody that isn't named Byron, Larson, or Hamlin? What is happening? Up is down, left is right. I don't know what the hell's going on anymore.
The Fords came to play this week. Ford plus 300. That's like the best odds that we've seen for them at an intermediate track. That's crazy. Those are some short track numbers. Keselowski and Busher. Busher lightning fast last week, kind of out of nowhere in practice once again. Looks incredibly fast. Those guys qualify second and third. Keselowski also one of his best tracks here. So
what is unique about Darlington? For those of us who don't know, why is Darlington? It's a 1.5 mile track. You'd think it's just another boring old, NASCAR intermediate, but yet it plays different. Tell me why.
So it's not exactly a mile and a half. So 1.3 mile track. It's kind of like sort of Martinsville shaped, but a lot bigger, a lot steeper, very fast. Probably one of the hardest tracks to drive. A lot of tire fall off, so you got to be able to manage there. And the preferred line is on the outside. No surprise we see like last year, this race is just Larson, Hamlin, Reddick. Who are the guys that run the wall the best? Larson, Hamlin, Reddick. Hamlin, of course, always going to be up there because anytime there's tire fall off, he's kind of the guy. You've also seen Truex win here a few times, although he's had some really rough goes at it in the next gen car. But the thing with this next gen car that makes this an especially tough track is, these cars can kind of take a lot, so you can push the edge even further with these next gen cars. And the wrecks are kind of devastating, because it's a bit faster of a track with the steep banking here. So we see the carnage rate just increase. This is probably the highest carnage intermediate track besides Texas. And Texas, it's only that way because it's kind of a shit show of a track right now.
Yeah, that's just the track surface. So is it because the high steep, the speed is a little bit higher than maybe other tracks? Like I'm just or is it the tire wear that's causing a tire to blow out and then boom, you're in the wall? Like what is the reason?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the fall off's pretty big, but also just the speed coming from being aggressive, wall riding. It's gonna, of course, result in some stripes. You end up hitting that wall. That's
All
kind
right.
of what keeps Reddick down here a lot of the time because he's very good at the wall ride. He's going to continue to be fast. He's on the pole. I've always said the difference between Larson and Reddick is that Reddick hits the wall and Larson doesn't.
That's the difference between great and really great, I guess, right there. So let's get a quick look at some historical stats from this particular track. So one of the most important metrics that we always look at here are the averages by starting position. It gives you an idea of how the track plays, and I am seeing a pretty interesting pattern here. So I don't know. Give me your breakdown on this, but pretty much from 11th through 35th, there's no fallout. It's just even scores. Is this the carnage showing itself? Because this gives a little bit more of that Daytona-ish start guys from the back, little play stiff safeness. Now I'm starting to feel my cash lineup come together, and it's going to have a lot of play stiff in it.
Yeah. So with the increased cautions here, the play stiff will come into play, but you can see it doesn't come from the very back of the field. Those guys, the Casgrellas of the world, do get eaten up by this track, but the similar scoring across the board, you compare it to other intermediate tracks, that 30 through 35th spot usually is pretty bad scoring. Usually these guys are getting lapped a lot, but with the quantity of cautions that we usually get here, they can kind of hang and work their way up. So, looking at plays like a Haley or Hemrick, maybe even, Lord forgive me, like a Burton down low. Those guys are going to be the guys that help you easily afford guys like Hamlin, guys like Larson.
Yeah. Or we just play Busher and Lowski and believe the numbers, which is crazy. But I don't even want to talk Haley. We cannot sleep on Haley. Period.
He's been solid, and this is a great track for him. But a lot of the value of this range coming from that mid range, that 7K, upper 6K range, loaded with some value, and then after that, there's kind of a huge desert. Not much value to be had until you get all the way down to basically the bottom, pretty much.
Well, there's some hosts of our in this house, and that's always value. And then we've got a really exciting situation with Chase Elliott starting last, and then I believe it was one of the G brothers. I can't remember, but also with some extreme play diff upside here.
The problem seems to be DraftKings just priced everything like normal. They don't realize that RFK is plus 600, which is like the best odds I've ever seen them not at a super speedway, like ever.
Why would they expect that? Like, who the hell? I wasn't expecting that. This is nuts. All right, so let's load up. There's no practice for this, or is there? There was practice.
No, this is an important practice session because qualifying and practice matters here. You could definitely see the effects of that in Xfinity with the practice and qualifying getting canceled. A lot of tomfuckery that happened, but there's a pretty good correlation to like starting position and how you run here. It kind of makes me like those RFK guys a lot, but as you can see, I mean, outside like the top 5, it doesn't really matter where you start, sort of, as long as you're fast.
Okay. All right. So let's look at the practice times here and give me a breakdown. I mean, you usually sort by.
Yeah, right now it
looks like we're sorted by 15.
Pretty much everyone got at least 15 laps run. So looking at that for long run speed, because long run speed is everything here. This huge fall off that we see here.
Am I seeing Gilly?
Yeah. Gilly. So Group B overall as a whole did a lot better, but oh my God, is Byron fast in practice? Kind of something we've been seeing. The thing with practice though is that with SRT data being open and available to everybody, there are a few guys, especially in the JGR camp, who just like to fuck around in practice, and it's become super duper apparent. Looking at Mr. Denny Hamlin, slow in the B group, my ass, does this every week. And then they've got Truex as well. I wouldn't worry too much about their practice speeds. there's no shot they're going to be slow here. That's especially like Hamlin. There's like
Ty Gibbs,
he
kind of
he
slow
basically
there.
encrypts his practice every week. So yeah, not worried about them.
But
Ty may
we have
actually suck. Don't know.
What about this noteworthy speed from Buscher and
Yeah.
Gilliland?
Buscher just got the same car from last week. That's fast as fuck.
Oh man, that's a really sketchy one. And Byron has not been really dominating much. I feel like almost this season, but certainly the last few weeks. And
Byron has ran really well this season. It's just
he's just not dominating. He's not winning as he wants. He's not winning it.
Well, Larson's the dominator typically, but Byron has like 3 wins on the season. It's just he's not. Yeah, he's just. You got to think about it right now. DFS players fucking hate Byron because he just wrecked out immediately as 70% on chalk yesterday, and last week he was like 60% on chalk, also wrecked out there as well. So public enemy number 1 right now. And I think the last like several years here, it's just been you play Hamlin, play Larson. I think a lot of people are going to go to that combo, especially Larson. You know Larson is going to be giga chalk this week. At the intermediate tracks, he has just been like you've had to have him at pretty much everyone this year except Texas, which is Texas.
He tends to find himself in the lead at some point, but if he doesn't and you pay that price, you're going to be screwed. How about and Gillen? Really interesting. Gillen is starting where?
He's 125 to 1. Really good odds. He's starting 15th.
Yeah, he's starting.
So it kind of puts him sort of in line with all these guys starting in the 20s down low. If he started a little bit further back, he'd be more interesting, but I'd consider him still playable here in the spring race here. Over the last 2 years, he's finished 15th and 11th.
Reddick on the pole for this one.
In
a fast car.
Circle back around Mr. Gilliland here. You might expect Gilliland to pick up a little speed because big news this week. Michael McDowell going to Spire next year. So if you recall last year when Haley announced that he was going to Rick Ware Racing from college, like, you know, he's going to be getting that. I mean, it's safe to believe he'll be getting the B car from now on, Mr. McDowell. His odds are already lower than Gilliland. Gilliland clearly showing some more speed, at least on the long run. McDowell had the fastest lap overall, like hot lap, but he didn't have any long run speed in that. So kind of more of the same there, but Gilliland ended up out qualifying him. You got to figure that McDowell and Gilliland's prices will probably flip-flop, because I really doubt that Gilliland is going anywhere. But McDowell, yeah, headed off to Chevy next year.
Well, unfriend McDowell for the rest of the season, getting the shitty car.
I would play him at road courses and super speedways at least. I wouldn't completely unfriend him, but yeah.
Yeah, a couple of interesting. Let's get right into it. So, I mean, should we take last week's results and say, yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to see in intermediate tracks? Is there a whole lot of difference week to week, other than maybe this one's a little crashier?
Yeah, this is just the a higher carnage one, and it's kind of a different kind of carnage as well, because it's more likely to knock you out. And pit road, of course, very important here.
Okay.
So the guys that qualified up high do have a pretty decent advantage here. So more points to the RFK guys and the Reddicks. Reddick needs all the help he can get in that regard. You see with qualifying, like unlike last week with Kansas, with it being such when did you go out and qualify type qualification. Usually the faster cars qualify up front here. And you can see outside of Chase Elliott, that's pretty much the case. The whole top 10 are like exactly who you'd expect.
All right, so let's actually go over. I'll pull this up on the Dom station, and we'll go by starting position to kind of see it sorted that way. And I've got this blown up a little bit, so hopefully you guys at home can see the screen. And let's actually get right into this breakdown. It is Mother's Day, by the way, so call your mom, kiss your wife, do all that good stuff.
Shout out mamas.
Shout out to the moms. Right, so lot going on today, and I got to knock some lineups out. early as possible. So let's get right into this, Taco. A little Mother's Day NASCAR. Well, nothing better, by the way, on Mother's Day than drinking beers, watching NASCAR, ignoring the whole family. That's what you want to be doing Mother's Day.
Absolutely.
No?
Sending some flowers there, Doom.
Yeah, as long as you got your card. You should have prepped that yesterday.
It's been
So
done.
here we go. Reddick on the pole, and then Keselowski and Buescher. There you go. Ford. It's a Ford festival at the top of the leaderboard, right? A little scary. Normally, I wouldn't play either of these guys starting second or third. They are persona non grata for me. Normally, Keselowski not super fast in practice either. So I don't know. How do you feel about?
He's the priced up one, and also Keselowski is another guy who I don't give a shit about his practice speeds. He's always out doing whatever the fuck.
Can he hold the lead though? That is not what I would.
Oh, he's
yeah?
he's one of the best arrow blockers in the sport. He can absolutely hold a lead if he gets out there. You know, like Chastain, like no one really expected him to get the lead, but once he does, you saw how he was able to block Larson forever. Keselowski is like the best at that long term. Okay, I mean Chastain's still like he's insane with that, but Keselowski's got to be like up there. Reddick, of course, like
I'm just going to answer this question from Dooley real quick here because this is I love back testing, and I like to encourage that. Guys, number one, if you're going to be attacking tournaments using the Dom station, you should absolutely be back testing every single slate, every single week. After you finish the slate, you need to back test it, see what you did right, what you did wrong, what you can adjust. If you're not doing that, understand that you're not taking the advantages that you have here, and not just with DFS Army, but in general, you're not honing your craft. You must back test. And if you can't produce winners in back test, I don't want you to do any sort of stop mass multi-entering, right? Just don't do it anymore if you're not able to produce winners. Dooley, the reason that happened when you turn randomization off is because with the benefit of hindsight, you're effectively cheating in your back test, and randomization is lessening that cheat that you're doing. So that I would adjust how you're back testing to understand that. Try to do it without cheating. When you're back testing, you should be doing things like picking one or two drivers to go all in on. And obviously with the benefit of hindsight, you can do that, but look at the difference between that when you take a shot on a driver versus not, how many lineups you're entering. You got to really be scientific about it. So the reason though that will happen is, of course, because you already know the outcome. So you're effectively cheating a little bit on your back test. Try not to cheat with your back test. You want to be treating it as if you're not back testing, but forward testing, but just don't cheat it. Ken says, Lauren said, all right. So sorry, Taco. I wanted to address that one. Everybody back test for every sport.
Yeah.
For every sport. I spend so much time back testing because I want to feel what it feels like to have the nut sort of exposures on screen over and over and over again. It's like exercising. Exercise that back test muscle. All right. Sorry, Taco. Where were we?
Reddick.
Okay.
So Reddick's been awesome here. He's not been able to win, but he's finished second, third, 22nd, and second here in the next gen or with the next gen car. Got that second at Las Vegas too. He does tend to get blocked out by Larson and Hamlin, and he can absolutely lead and put up fast laps. That is no problem for him at a steep track. Usually he doesn't put up the most. So yeah, he's got, him and Kez kind of have more like long run speed overall. So I would certainly expect one of those two to be the guys early on. And it's not going to be like yesterday where he had that competition caution early, but we may just have a recreational caution early, just with how Darlington is. So second place actually is optimal more often than first place at this track. For a one lane track, this actually has quite a lot of action that happens. And yeah, the tire fall off is so quick. Kind of equals out the advantage. Like it's not as insane as other tracks when it comes to starting up front. First place through like eighth place kind of score somewhat similarly.
It's really interesting that Buescher. So after Reddick, of course, he's on the pole, and you know what? I feel like people have their approach to the pole sitter, one way or another. You want to play the pole sitter, you want to fade the pole sitter, especially that decision becomes a little more, let's call it difficult when the pole sitter is an actual good driver who's actually good at this specific track, like Reddick is. So that adds a little bit to the intrigue of that decision point. But I would recommend what's that?
No, I was gonna say the thing here is that if I think Keselowski is less likely to get the lead, but if he does get the lead, I think he's more likely to hang on to it than Reddick.
Yeah, for a while, right? So I think all three of these, the whole starting five is a, I don't know, it's a sketchy group, right?
Yeah, they're not. The ownership is going to be held down on these guys as well. I mean, I expect Reddick to get somewhat popular just being the pole sitter, so it kind of makes me want to play the Keselowski more, who will be much lower owned, is not going to be as high in the projections. His salary was jacked up this week on DraftKings. So there are a lot of reasons to think that people may not really play Keselowski. Also, he's not as standout of a dominator as a Reddick. So I think people look to Byron, Larson, Hamlin. They're in that range a bit lower than them, or just go with Reddick or pair them up together when they're looking to spend up this week. But yeah, Keselowski and Buescher, if you go either of those guys, it really does, especially like Buescher, it opens up your salary a lot. Because like Kaz, if you treat him as someone who's going to be an early dominator, lead a lot of laps, 9-2 isn't bad. He kind of needs to do that. As for Buescher, like 7-8, that frees up your salary for everything.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's Buescher is the one that you really have to think more about for me. Coming off of last week's crazy good run, super fast in practice, 11-1 odds for 7,800. Like his odds versus the price are insanely good. So that's just a bargain across the board. That's some low PE stock right there, Taco.
Yeah. He's just very risky, obviously. If anything happens to him, it's very likely to happen at this track, something happening to you, but he will put up that golden goose egg that we saw from Byron.
Apparently, Pacras picked Kez for the win, so there you go.
Oh, that means he's cursed.
Yeah. That's like when what's his name? Mad Money. Jim Cramer picks a stock to go up.
Oh no. I think Christopher Bell is mad at Bob. The one, and he was picked by Bob. He's like, no, pick someone else. Trolling me. I can see if there's any week for Kaz to get out of his slump,
Absolutely. But again, 9,200, it's a little spendy for me on Keselowski. So, it's not like you're getting a bargain right there. These guys, though, the interesting one in the starting group at 7% owned. So if we want to play some low-owned guys that no one's going to be on, Ty Gibbs is hanging out in the fourth starting spot. He's not looking at the best odds per se, but 7%.
That ownership's going to be non-existent. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your low-owned. He will totally be overlooked because I see these three are going to get ownership. And then these three are going to get a shit ton of ownership, right? And then this guy right here, Ty Gibbs, he's going to get nothing. No one's going to. So he'll be the low-owned guy in that group.
Yeah, he's only recently started to pop off at like the short tracks and stuff. And we saw him like at Bristol run really well, but we've not seen him do anything at intermediate track so far. I don't think he's even led a lap yet.
Some of the guys are asking about how many dominators. Give it a second before you set your definite number. The dominator group being this starting 10 or 11, or 12, I would say. But I'd give it a second. At least 2 is probably a fair number. But there are some serious place diff plays on the slate coming up. 1 or 2 that are, I think, kind of the chalk cash plays, and we'll see how we feel about them in tournaments.
But only one is expensive.
Yeah, there's a cheap.
Which makes it a lot more different than last week.
It's actually 3. You know what? There's a third guy. I'm gonna I got a third one that's like almost lock button cash. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But let's talk about the group of studs here: Byron, Larson, and Denny Hamlin. Odds are 8, 5, and 5. So Larson and Hamlin 5-1, both odds-on favorites to win the race.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk of Larson versus Hamlin because at these intermediate tracks, it's always come down to Larson versus Hamlin.
That's the theme of 2024.
That's the theme of this whole season, maybe even last. You look at the manufacturer odds, it's just JGR plus 190, Hendrick plus 200.
And then
it's been JGR versus Hendrick all year, and Hamlin leading the JGR squad, and Larson, of course, leading the Hendrick squad. But Byron has been right there.
Now,
I know he's public enemy number 1 right now, but he's been, he's super ultra fast in practice. He's done some big things this year.
You know how you win a tournament, Taco? You go like one pride and you just fall in love with Gibbs at 7% ownership, and then he wins or he is in the nuts, and you're the only person who has him. That's how you win tournaments. So one pride.
Or we look at like a 40% Larson and say no.
Yeah. Fade the chalk.
70% on Byron yesterday and say no.
Yeah. You know what? You know who would have said no to that? I know someone. I know someone who would have been like, you know what?
Wow.
I unfriend you. You know it. We know it. We all know it. You know what? You know what Bobby Wow would have said to Byron yesterday?
Go yourself. Is that clear?
Sorry, I'm using my stuff here. Where were we? I like to get my clips in there, Taco.
We're in the elite expensive range. We're spending all of our money.
Yes. So yeah, you've got Byron, Larson, Hamlin. So you mentioned Larson and Hamlin going up against each other. Everybody loves Larson. Everybody loves Hamlin. I'm watching the show on Netflix. It's a great show. I'm obsessed with Hamlin after the show. He's got to win the champion. I'm invested.
He will never win a championship. He's not that guy.
He ain't that guy.
No, he's the Bills.
Brutal. But
he's OJ.
Hamlin helping out. What's her name? Forget it. I can't remember her name. And then she's yelling at him. He's like, "I'm just trying to help you out." Byron is the odd man out of this trio, but yet you said he's really
in practice. Yes, sir.
So ownership-wise, I mean, there is a pretty big difference there. You got to drop off.
Yeah.
So I guess, that's something to noteworthy, right? If you want to kind of fade the chalk and play maybe a guy who has every reason to be used, with that's probably Byron.
I'm almost more interested in Hamlin. Nothing against Byron. Okay, well, a few things against Byron, but like Larson is such an obviously good play that he's going to be super chalky. And so going overweight on Larson seems very difficult in the slate, but Hamlin has been perpetually under-owned this season, I swear. Every intermediate track you go to, his price is so expensive, he ends up trickling down into the 20s. If that happens again, which surely people have figured this out by now. Surely people are going to play Hamlin now, right? No, they're just going to continue to dogpile onto Larson. Hamlin and Larson are co-favorites. I'm just going to take the lower owned of the two with the big fall off here, But, playing them together, you can't really go too wrong doing that. Because it's like, if everything goes as expected, that's probably just going to be the way to go.
You can play them together.
But you are giving up on Chase Elliott. You do
basically that. Yeah. Or you could get it done with Chase Elliott too, but then you have a triple turd situation.
No, then you can't get the real good plays on the slate. But maybe you don't want them. Maybe you don't want 50 owned or 50% owned plays
there
at Darlington.
So let's continue on. We got to power through this actually because it is Mother's Day, and I'm getting texts about leaving times for the in-laws' house, and they are close to what is right now. So I'm at the pressure. Taco. All right, so let's hammer through this breakdown. And all right, so obviously we love Larson, we love Hamlin, we love Byron. Hamlin seems
Doesn't
like
take a genius to figure that one out.
yeah, that's some easy stuff, right? So here are the secondary dominators. Okay, the ones that are less exciting, but yet you never know. So Bubba Wallace, starting 8th. You know,
He's been that's
36-1.
about where he's ran at intermediate tracks. He either wrecks or he runs like 8th. So
yeah, I don't see much reason to play him. It looks like
he's very good at this track, like the lower series and just historically. But and Chastain, if he gets up front, he's going to stay up front, which is cool. He just has to get up front.
He did it last week, right?
Yep.
All right. So let's not ignore Chastain at 15% ownership.
Absolutely not. But he's got the massive price jump.
He's also the same price as Chase Elliott, who is an infinitely better play.
And Truex, who, if of any of the really expensive guys, he would be the one whose ownership may plummet a bit. But yeah, he's absolutely someone you want to play whenever we're talking some tire fall off. Not someone you want to sleep on because he was very good at this track in the last gen car. Pretty unlucky here overall, but we've seen him, running in the top 5 just behind Larson and Hamlin at Dover at Kansas. So he's someone in consideration, but, maybe not an S tier, maybe an A tier play, and 10-7 for that. I get it, but you still got to play some.
He's 7.5.
Especially if he ends up dripping down.
I'm surprised at how high own you have Truex projected, number 1. And I think it's just name value because, again, he's just so much less sexy of a play than the guys we mentioned for more money. But the 7.5 to 1 is also really interesting odds. I'm a little surprised to see that for Truex.
No, he comes in here with a lot of respect. He has a bunch of wins here. Also, he's led tons of laps at Darlington recently. He's not gotten the finish. Almost never gets the finishes, but he averages the most fast laps here in the next gen car, despite having a best finish of 18th. So, these finishes are very, very, very misleading. I'll say, incredibly misleading.
It's funny. I will be surprised if he gets the full 24%. But you're always right. I say that a lot, by the way. Don't ever take that as a diss to the Taco.
I ain't saying nothing, but
you're always right about it. But I just, at first look, I'm surprised because, like I said, I feel like
I know these people. So also last spring race here, yeah, dude led 145 laps with 65 fast laps and wrecked and finished 31st. So depends. Will the field know that? He's led laps and dominated here every single, or 3 out of the 4 races here in the next gen. The only thing is he hasn't finished any of those races. He's finished 31st, 31st, and 24th in those. Darlington does come to get him, but I mean, the numbers speak for himself. In 2021, he led 248 laps here. 2020 led 196 laps here with 90 fast laps. The dude's dominator stats are supreme here. That's why he's got that ownership bump. But I mean, God, imagine people are just looking at finishes. I pray to God people are just looking at finishes. That's the case, man. Truex is such a good play here.
All right, sneaky play on Truex, 7.5 to 1 to win it. I mean, the odds makers. You're right. He didn't pop for me just based on he wasn't anything special last week, but those odds 7.5 to 1, looking good.
I mean, just think of this slate as a broad. Just who are we playing here? We're playing Keselowski, Truex, Hamlin, Larson.
You're saying we're playing the old guys who know how to manage the tires.
Literally, my note here from last year. Experience matters.
Age matters. Nice.
It's just I feel like we've had a lot of these recently, and we kind of just know who is going to be running well here. It's these guys that can manage the fall off. Because Dover, similar. The most similar tracks to this one are the ones that we've been to not too long ago. Kansas, obviously we're just there. Las Vegas. Just manage that tire fall off and keep that car good going into the race late. And we innately know who's going to be able to do that.
Experience matters. That's what I tell the ladies.
Like Chastain, very good at getting up front and hanging up front, but the second he's back in traffic, he was gone last week.
All right, so Truex is definitely in play here. Let's
You know
keep
who
going.
else is experienced here?
Who's
And
that?
is
KB?
actually ran well at intermediate tracks.
Kyle Busch?
Dare I say?
KB?
Playable. I'll say playable.
He was up there last week too. He was like in the mix.
Mm-hmm. I think Las Vegas is the highest correlating track to this one. It's one of his best tracks. Ran extremely well there.
Experienced guy, why not? Didn't he crash out though in trucks like in 10 seconds?
Yep.
That was so
Absolutely.
good. I always fade Kyle Busch in trucks anyway, and
Yeah, it used to be always play him. Now it's like I always fade him.
No, it's always
he makes the slates lame. Yeah.
He's priced at a level where
so excited to see that.
Yeah, he's priced at a level where even when he dominates for like 3/4 of the track, it's still not good enough. So they made it pretty easy. And everybody plays him, which is even easier to fade. But yeah, so Busch in play here at 11.
Yeah, I cut the Doms off here because Bell. I don't think anyone's gonna play Bell. I guess
No
it'd be the
ownership
single
on
entry
Bell.
kind of play. He's kind of in that Joey Logano spot where I don't think people are gonna play him. I don't know why he's so expensive. He's shown really nothing at intermediates this whole year.
Let's see, at 15-1 odds, he's kind of in a unique spot.
Yeah, compared to his teammates, he's got like 3 times the odds of his teammates, like in the bad way.
Yeah, I'm just there's no one to compare him to here where you'd say,
Bubba, maybe.
Yeah, but Bubba's Bubba's 36-1, so that's not really a comparator. I don't know. He's kind of unique. It stands out, 7% owned.
He's going to be the single entry play for me.
Yeah, here you got Briscoe at a weird starting spot. This is not the kind of track where Briscoe is somebody that I normally would use. Is there any reason?
80-1. Oof.
Yeah, I unfriend you, Briscoe. This is ridiculous. 81-1. 13th. That is just not. But of course,
you put him back in after Busch last week.
Yeah. I'm not unfriending anybody. Come on, let's get
Ford's a good here, but I'm actually not going to play Briscoe. There's no way. This ain't the track type for him.
Unfriend you. Joey Logano starting 14th, 26-1, 11% owned.
I think he's like super duper interesting on FanDuel, but there's
not a
lot of reason to play him. He's he's won here like in the next gen car like in 2022, which is cool and all. But this year he's done absolutely nothing intermediate tracks, nothing. All he does is overqualify and then just chill, go backwards.
Logano's like in the who's that other Busch brother situation where
Kurt Busch?
Who is it?
Kurt Busch?
Yeah, like he's in the Kirk Busch situation.
No, don't call him a Boyer.
You never want to
do my boy dirty.
No, I said a Busch, but where he's in like a starting spot, like you're like, I don't really want to play him here. Starting 14th, weird price point, and then he just sneaks his way up into 5th place. Logano is as experienced as anybody.
That is true.
Up into like 5th place, and you're like, how the hell did Logano? So that's a GPP guy. You want to have him,
yeah,
but not
the only thing is
lineup around him.
His fall off in practice wasn't good, and just but he's shown zero evidence of having any speed at intermediate, like in this intermediate package this year. Is the only issue I have with him. Like,
tournament only. Nothing. The same way I leave like 5 to 10% of every kind of turd in there just in case. That's the Logano discussion. Gilliland is starting 15th, 125-1, 5,500, super cheap. Is he playable?
All the way down low. He's like splashable. So
obviously,
just hang up here.
Supreme danger with the turd starting a turdly kind of driver, a 125-1 driver.
I guess you think of him like Michael McDowell in this sense. He's in the A car.
He's better than McDowell in the sense that he's 1,000 cheaper and has better win odds,
and isn't leaving his team.
Yeah, and isn't in the turd car of his team. So
although I would expect it to be a slow rollout of slowly phasing out McDowell from the speed, but all McDowell's done all season is overqualify and go backwards. Gilliland has showed some staying power when he showed speed in practice and qualifying, something we have seen this season. And we've seen him do well here, particularly at the spring races, finishing top 15 every single time.
Sadly, let's see. Gilliland did show massive speed in practice. So
long run speed too.
If we are going by this practice, and Taco, you
said
we
to do a little better at.
Yeah, and you said we should be. I think Gilliland makes for a very interesting, low-owned guy that opens up the whole salary tree, that has a fast car, that's odds are not that bad in terms of the win odds. There's some reason to play him.
Like he's up against Burton starting in 35th, who was 34th in practice and only got worse from there.
Well, he is up against my boy
Haley.
Haley
is that range. So I mean,
Haley is the one, but
none of those guys are super safe. They're like 1,000-to-1 guys.
Yeah,
Gilliland seems to have a little bit of actual speed attached to him. It's just a shame he qualified so high.
It's not even that high. You know what? Let's not be scared of Gilliland today, guys. Let's fucking sack up, play some Gilly for Mother's Day for Mom. Gilly for Mom.
14th at Kansas.
No one's clicking that button. No one's clicking that button. I know the mind of the DFS player.
Yeah, they're clicking on Harrison Burton starting 35th.
No. I'll take Gilliland at 15 over Harry B. Harry B. I don't care if Harry Burton was starting 50th and just got the free pass. Like that dude sucks.
He's behind the pace cars.
Oh, yeah, that dude sucks.
Behind the track dryers.
It's 5 laps behind. You're like, man, he got 10 play stiff points for free. There was no one in front of him. He's still losing. Still
starting back there for cheap.
Blaney is somebody that I found when I was handcrafting earlier that I kind of like was stuck in the Blaney zone. And
only problem,
I don't mind it.
I think track history actually matters here a decent amount. And he is fucking awful at this track. His best ever finish is like 9th, 8th. He got an 8th once. Very cool, Blaney.
Not good.
If you get a career best 7th, I don't think that's enough. That's like a ceiling, I think. He's like 25-to-1 for a reason.
All right. Well, maybe let's I'm looking
at Logano. Really, Penske doesn't seem like they're the ones with the speed here.
Just gonna sort by salary.
Definitely seems like RFK.
I'm sorting by salary real quick just to get a sense of how much I'm paying for these odds. So with Blaney, you're paying $9K for 26-to-1. It's not that, it doesn't get that much better. You know, Keselowski, a better deal, 11-to-1, but you lose the play stiff. Yeah, Buescher, but for the most part, he's kind of in an island on his own there with Blaney at 26-to-1. I'm still going to play a little bit starting 17th, but yeah, I'll still play a little bit of him starting 17th there. All right, let me go back to the other sort. So that's going to mess me up.
Yeah, I think I'm only playing the Penske guys on like FanDuel.
So Blaney, a better FanDuel play in your mind?
Blaney, I think I'm just going to not play.
Oh, there you go.
I have so many guys I want to play. I just believe in the track history here, unless he has like an anomaly finish. I don't know. I think I can safely avoid Blaney.
How about Bowman starting right behind Blaney? 50-to-1, not as good, but you save 1,000.
Yeah, he showed fuck all in practice, but he's been really good at these tire wear tracks. Ended up being awesome late at Bristol. He's one of like 4 dudes to finish on the lead lap. Ran well at Dover, ran well at Kansas. But he showed a little bit practice speed there. He's 50-to-1. Yeah, because he had a pretty abysmal practice session, honestly. In the Fast 8 group too. Not really this has not been his track either recently. I think he missed this race last year with injury. Yeah, I agree. His track history kind of balls. I think I have him slotted into my cash game right now just because he does feel like a cash guy over GPP because he is conservative. He's in a Hendrick car for cheap, which is cool. He'll probably finish like decently. It's just cash was super tricky. Like it was hard to make anything fit right. It was It's a weird slate when you've got like no value guys to really go after, but all the values in like the mid range. It makes it strange.
Andrew B, I would build for Carnage. Yes.
Yeah.
You might as well build for Carnage. By the way, if you want to have some fun with
The
NASCAR,
over on 8.5 is favored. That's as high as you'll see in Cup.
dude, you should be building for Carnage. Yeah. That's a fun race. Fade the chalk, unfriend it, Bobby Wow, do it. Because the first two right now, this one might go really different, but I did play trucks and I did play Xfinity, and it was like there was a fucking target on the chalk. Like they knew if a guy was 50% owned, he was hunted. He was hunted. There's fucking Hunger Games going on out there, and there were posses out there hunting down the chalk. That's what was happening. I'm like, whoa, a crash happened? Who crashed? Oh, the 4 out of the 5 drivers in my cash lineup. How are they all in the same fucking crash? What are the chances? It was like a 1 in 10,000. You couldn't even call that. If I was betting that, I would have made $1 million. Anyway, right, Taco? Like, if I
guaranteed to happen here, I don't know. I don't get caught up in gambler's fallacy sort of stuff, but just generally, when you've got the over on 8.5 cautions, like, first off, I don't think there's even a track where you get that quantity. Maybe like Martinsville or something, like
outside of super speedways.
No, super speedways. Remember Talladega? The under on 4.5 was getting hit. No, it was just their crashes are gigantic.
Yeah,
this is just going to be quantity cautions.
Every time I looked at my app the last 2 days, I just saw yellow flags everywhere. I was like, oh,
yep, that's the slate for you.
Yeah,
single car wreckouts. So and when they wreck hard. You saw Deegan's ass get blown out. That was badass.
Haley Joe?
Bro, she got destroyed.
Oh,
these wrecks are just huge.
You're not talking about the video.
No, whoa.
Totally different.
No.
Okay, so on Mother's Day, Kevin, on Mother's Day, that's what you're doing. Sorry, guys. I apologize for that one. So anyhow, on Mother's Day,
stay in focus, boys.
Sorry, I'm getting texts. You have no idea what's happening behind the scenes. So let's get into this now low-owned zone here.
Yeah, this is part of the mid-range desert, or the lower mid-range desert after the super chalk plays.
I'm calling this whole zone the shitstorm. Okay, it's a shitstorm of people you really don't want to.
This is the battle of mid, right here.
I don't want any of this. I mean, I could unfriend this whole zone. If this wasn't a Carnage track, I would just be here unchecking everybody.
Yeah, I have a wild play.
Which is the one? Carson Hocevar, like at 8%, he's been pretty good.
It's goddamn Austin Cindric.
Oh, stop.
Bro, he didn't overqualify for once in his life. And he seems to have some long run speed. It's crazy, though.
This might, if
I'm hoping nobody plays him.
Has Cindric ever been in the Nuts lineup in his entire, like over the last 3? Has there ever been a race where
not count super speedways? Yeah, I don't know. He's also so bad at intermediates typically, but he tends to run like top 15, top 20. That's not the issue. He just gets incredibly unlucky with wrecks. He's like 200 to 1. Here, the other Austin's 300 to 1. Kind of interesting. I don't know. And Fords do seem to have some increased speed this week. It's just the fact that Cindric is even like in the player pool is a new one for me. I'm like, Cindric's popping up.
I thought I was like 17% own Cindric. Hello, what? All right, let's get past
in a decent spot. It's crazy.
Cindric, you mentioned Cindric. You said the name. If he's in the Nuts, you said it. All right. So if he's getting there, in my opinion, it's happening because he survived, and all of a sudden, a lot of other people didn't, and Cindric started 25th. And
it's that the early speed he shows he actually holds on to it for a change. That'd be the real difference.
Yeah.
That and also just Ford's coming back into play here. Yeah, this whole range is like super forgettable. Because there are a lot of guys I would like if they didn't, just qualify in really awkward spots like LaJoy, even like a Nemechek. Kind of wish he qualified a bit further back. He's been running pretty well. It was really good.
Really good the other day. My notes from the race was stop sleeping on Nemechek. he's good at these 1.5 mile tracks.
Well, they're
But
still sleeping on him. He's 350 to 1.
well, starting 22nd is a little sketch. But like I said, these are not unfriend you situations. I would say almost for
The
anybody.
light flashes.
In a carnage track, I would
maybe unfriending Austin Dillon. Stenhouse, maybe. Ooh. Suarez, these are all just mediocre as fuck plays.
Well, here are the good plays. So let's get to the next section. But I do think it's not out of the question that a nutter will come from this group just because of the carnage potential. And like I said, what we saw in trucks was the names that you never play that always stink were in the top group at the end. Everybody was 2 laps back. It was just a carnage fest. And and it was like randos were just on the lead lap, and now they're in that. So many people were laps back that randos were on the lead lap and they were in like 12th place, and they're putting monster scores. So
I have a funny note from last year that I don't remember why I put this, but I put Zane Smith fucking sucks here.
You know what? That's a good. If that's your note, I think we can accept it.
Yeah, I think it was for trucks. Like he's so good in the truck series, but he just could not run this track. And so there's some people who just hate this track, and there's some people who love this track. Like it's worth noting that Ross Chastain, this is his favorite track.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, that is worth
noting. He won the Xfinity race, so
get different, guys.
I do like a little bit of Chastain here.
Get different today, guys. I'm telling you.
Yeah, this is a very polarizing track where
when it's
a lot of guys just really don't like it. Some guys do, and some guys are Zane Smith, and they just fucking suck here.
Speaking of getting different, if you don't want to get different, this is the zone you're going to focus on this week. Okay? There are a number of spectacular plays within this group, and I mean,
we saw this range when we were looking at the buckets. Like this was a great range historically.
Start with this guy, Justin Haley. Don't sleep on Justin Haley anymore. I don't know why he's 1,000 to 1. I don't know what's going on.
He's been straight good.
The guy is straight good at these intermediates. Like he was good last week. Why are we? Why is he 1,000 to 1? It's insulting.
Yeah, the spring race here, the last 2 years. Granted, it was with a different team. He finished 3rd and 8th.
Still surprisingly low ownership for him. For what I think is a guy that should soon be leveling up but maybe not. Again, the odds makers have him as the turdliest of turds. So
he's pretty good at this track. I don't know.
Bizarre.
At this point, if you're this low, yeah, being in the thousands kind of whatever, because obviously not going to win. But like just 2 years ago, Haley finished 3rd here quite legitimately. It was real. It was not pit strategy. He was good.
That's just a weird one. I'm playing Haley. Yep. I don't care about this 1,000 to 1 bullshit. I think Haley's a better
player.
Some
guys are just good at this track. It's a very track history thing. We're about to get to someone that's very, very, very good here. But we'll talk about Hemrick here real fast.
Yeah, Hemrick is less good than Haley to me.
Yeah, his streak of top 20 finishes at intermediate tracks blew up last week. Yeah. Of course, at Kansas, there's no speed there.
This is the best. Everybody's in the same boat. Like the wife is fucking yelling at them right now. We gotta go brunch. I'm in that boat. So
I want brunch. Oh yeah, let's fly. I want some, bro. You literally said a trigger word for me. I don't know why brunch is so much better than lunch and breakfast.
Because there's
both options, bro.
There's meat involved in lunch. There's protein, and there's usually some sort of alcoholic beverage involved.
Mimosas. The only drink you can have in the morning that makes you not alcoholic.
Yeah.
Facts.
All right, let's get to the chalk plays here, Taco. The chalkiest of chalk, Eric Jones, 7,500, 51% owned. Scary chalk to me personally, but that's crashy chalk.
Eric Jones. So 50%, coming back off of 2 weeks off, he did get injured at Talladega, had a hairline fracture on a vertebrae, but he says he's 100% good to go. Eric Jones fucking rules at this track. He won here in legacy equipment.
He's specifically good here, you're saying?
He's absurdly good here.
Look at that, 41 to 1.
His team was trash last year and he finished top 10.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to fade, but 51% owned, man. That is not how you win tournaments.
Yep. Luckily, I have a very set process when it comes to Jones. I'm a Jones simp, so I will happily play him. Problem is, Gragson seems like a bajillion times better of a play if it wasn't for the track history of Jones. Because
We'll
Jones,
talk about
obviously,
DraftKings.
there's plenty of reasons to be sus of him.
Let's just do the quick comparison here.
Yeah.
Just on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Jones starting 30th, Gregson 36th.
Gragson,
Right.
intermediate track finishes this year 6th, 18th, 6th, and 9th.
Gregson
Absurd.
tearing it up on intermediate. Jones, good track history, but nothing this year.
I think Gragson is such good chalk that he's surely going to get blown up.
He will have a target on him from the karma gods like never before. 54% owned. The fact that this track has two 50% owned drivers in the 7,500 range is bananas.
But it just makes sense. I don't know. People may get superstitious and run away from these guys.
Both of these guys are a reason why you don't absolutely need to play Chase Elliott.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found even in cash, oddly enough, I found going down from Chase Elliott to these guys and then just playing like Larson Hamlin, I think could work maybe even better than playing Chase Elliott with play stiff. Even though it sounds antithetical for cash, it's just, I don't know, cash is a weird one this slate.
I love Chase. I actually think the way you want to play cash, Taco, is like what you think it is, which is just to eat all of this.
Yeah.
All of it. Just fucking do it, man.
Everybody's play stiff at a carnage track is fun, although they do tend to be.
Do we not know the secret for play stiff at a carnage track? Like, let the other people take the guy starting in the front and get the minus 15s and the minus 20s.
Yeah, because
you don't have any minuses in your lineup, and that's how you win.
Yeah, because in GPP, I mean, yeah, the guys starting in the back usually are the carnage, and that fucks you for GPP. But in cash, everyone already owns these guys, so it doesn't even matter if they wreck.
Yeah, you're not even. It doesn't matter. That's right. These guys will wreck probably and destroy your tournament lineup. That's how tournaments work. But as far as cash goes, yeah, fuck it, man. Just play them all. But you just eat all this play stiff chalk, and then you're gonna have to choose between these studs. But choose wisely. One more stud that we didn't mention back here, also high owned, is Josh Berry.
Yep.
150 to 1, starting 33rd. Good in practice, everything fine.
Top 15 in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I see him as being just a decent little pivot off of Gregson and Jones, who are more obvious plays. I think the optimizers will be shitting those guys out left and right. Barry, I don't expect to be as popular. His odds are significantly worse than Jones and Gregson, who are, in really, really good spots. And that's like after those odds are after qualifying. So that's like given they're starting in the 30s. They're still 40 to 1, 50 to 1. So Barry ownership I expect to be like maybe not half, but like 2/3 of what theirs is, 3/5.
Let's see what this looks like. You ready? Barry, let's put them all in there, and see how it feels.
Barry, Gregson, Jones.
Yeah, we got Barry, Chase, Gregson, and Jones. Where the hell
Barry's like in the 7s.
Oh, my brain is not working. There he is.
Or the high 6.
30th, 31st, 36th, and 33rd.
The problem is here. I think if you pick a Larson or a Hamlin, which you absolutely should, you're just left in the horrible range.
Yeah.
Of like what the ew. These are all ew plays. So do you just like take who do you even choose here? Suarez? Like it's awkward.
There's nothing here. So you have to give up on it. You have to give up on it. And I mean
the play is Larson over Hamlin, even, right? That's he's gonna be at least 50%.
We went to Larson. You can, I think Buscher's there. Nope,
you can't do anything.
So that's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to give up on one of the play stiff guys. Or just hope that Larson, Hamlin don't do what they always do, which seems dumb. There's nothing that fits easily in cash, basically.
Mr. 5 Cents says throw out Chase Elliott from this one and just play those guys. Am I missing another kind of cashy play down here?
No, there's like only 4 cash plays.
Yeah. And it's Elliott is one of them. So this does make the cash lineup maybe you just got to suck it up and play fucking Suarez, man. And that's what you just do.
Yeah, or just leave a whole bunch of money on the table.
No, because there's nowhere to go. The only one, the next man up is Cindric.
Yeah.
That's fucking gross.
That whole range sucks. Yeah, that you're gonna run into that with a lot of lineups. So you may end up leaving more salary on the table than you think.
Based on what I just saw, I'm gonna say, good luck making that cash lineup, because this is kind of what you want to start it with. Yeah, I know Jones is crashing. So what if I left him out? And let's see, is there anybody
even
else?
If Jones crashes, he's gonna be 80% owned. So I think leaving him out
doesn't even hurt you. I know.
I'd be most likely to leave Barry out.
Barry?
Because not much experience there. Not really his track type. 150-1 is where Jones is 50-1.
Go with Haley instead.
40-1.
How about that? Haley instead of Barry.
It's not as good of a play. Here.
But even that leaves you in kind of a no man's land where you're. So, all right.
Moment is at least kind of cash coded. Is kind of where I ended up. This isn't exactly the lineup I had, but there's kind of more of the angle I had to go.
I was hoping to get to Blaney, but not that it matters that much. But Carson Hocevar, some Hosa in this house. That's a dangerous cash play. But
he also lacks experience, and he's
but I mean,
a little bit higher.
Definitely a pay down option that's relevant. So I'm going to take this off the screen because we're not here to give out cash lineups, but I did want to show that on the screen just to see obvious. And then what are you going to do? Play Suarez? Good luck. So with that being said, Mother's Day special, Darlington, final thoughts, Taco. Who do you have as your race winner?
Yeah, that's the important thing here, isn't it? The winner.
Also, wait. Before I say that, you're watching the DFS Army Fast 40 NASCAR breakdown. Make sure you're liked, subscribed, notified. Let your friends know. DFS Army smashing it. If you're playing NASCAR, look at the top of the leaderboards. Just like at the end of this race, look at the top and look at all those DFS Army avatars up there. Taco projections, the notes from Brady, Taco, and Nilly. Trucks, Xfinity, dominating everything. So if you're into NASCAR DFS, get in our group. We're talking NASCAR all throughout the day. Not so much today because it's got to go to in-laws, but most days. So with that being said, Taco, do they have a brunch over at the gas station by your house?
I don't even live there anymore.
Oh, man.
There's some good ones. There's a good one. I would not be going there today. Hell no.
Race winner.
Probably.
Who's our race winner?
See, so obviously Hamlin Larson, picking them is kind of a cop out. I'm gonna take a more, I'm gonna take a very optimistic and cool who I'd want to see win, which would be like, how badass would it be if Keselowski broke his streak?
And got the W here? Could happen.
Yeah.
Could happen. How about
I'm buying into a little bit of hype here, but I mean,
how about Truex coming out of nowhere to take it down?
That's the other one. I was literally choosing between Keselowski and Truex.
I love the secondary guys today. I'm just going to give a little general slate advice here. Carnage track. I'm not going to say the chalk is going to fail, but what I'm going to say is this. If you place a lot of this 50% owned chalk, you're probably not going to win this tournament. So consider being different. And if you're going to play the 50% on chalk guys, I don't think that combining them with Larson or Hamlin is going to get you unique enough to have any sort of shot of winning a big tournament. Because other people are going to have that lineup and they're going to do it better than yours. So to up your chances on a Carnegie track, and again, just general stuff here, maybe don't play all of the chalk. Maybe get off of it.
You know what? I think the move, the more I think about it, obviously I'm going to root for Keselowski. I think the move, honestly, is Truex. I think he ends up being that forgotten guy up front. And I just like the fact that he seems to have by far, by 2 or 3 times the amount of the next closest person, by far a better running position than where he's finished at this race recently. Like he's like if his finishes were representative of how he ran the race, he would have the best track history here of anyone. And the fact that that's so well disguised, he seems like the best GPP dominator pivot for sure. Like that. That'd be a great GPP stand, just to go double the field on Truex, and maybe not be as crazy on, a Chalk Larson, Elliott, even Reddick.
To me, or even Keselowski and Buescher fall in that category too. I don't think they're
I think Buescher would probably get more of the ownership than Kez. So still kind of like Kez from that perspective of just like an early dominator shot.
No one wants to play Kez at 9,200. It's the salary jump that makes you feel gross, and it correctly gross. So that's another angle to take, guys. Think strategically for this race. There's going to be crashes. There's going to be carnage. Your favorite drivers, your chalk drivers, are usually involved in those carnages. That's just DFS karma. That's like how it happens. So for that reason, keep it in mind as you're building. Let other people overload chalk. If you're running the Dom station, one trick to use is to control for max percent owned. So we have a beautiful tab over here where you can control for the max ownership on your lineup. And this will make sure that you don't get too much of those chalk guys all in the same lineup together. I'm not saying they can't all smash. They could, but in a high carnage race, that is generally not the recipe for how you win it. So, and listen, I'll take the hate afterward. Oh, all the chalk crushed and Kevin said not to play it. Fine. I'll take the heat, but that's just how, you're not going to win if all the chalk hits, because somebody else is going to have a better version of that lineup when you're going up against 35,000 lineups. So you're better off just like cutting some of that off. Imagine you fade 2 chalk pieces at 50% own, that's going to cut off 60, 70% of the lineups in the entire slate. And now you only have to compete against the other 30%. So a little bit of sort of tournament, especially on a single entry. Taco, single entry, how much of this chalk are you eating? If you're just making one in an SE, I mean, it's not a lot.
I'm probably going against it, even though it feels a little bit chasey after the lower series this weekend. But yeah, I'd probably just end up playing like a Truex lineup or something like that, like Kez Truex.
There you go.
It's way
like
to go.
Super unchalky, and I love that. Yeah.
Shout out to fellow Taiwanese W Lin. I got a little prize pick nugget that I'm seeing. I really like the under 84.5 laps led for Tyler Reddick at a track like this. I think there's way too many opportunities for him to lose the lead.
I love the shout out to Taiwanese, the GOAT of Asians.
Yes, sir.
Of Asian countries. So
yeah, sometimes their pole sitter props are a little too high. I see Reddick just strikes me as someone that doesn't like he finds the lead, but he usually finds ways to lose it. And this would be indicative of like a green flag type race, which Darlington typically is not. And also, like, there's a bunch of other heavy hitters up front. So yeah, under 84.5 laps led. There you go.
I'm begging you, for the sake of your mothers, for them to have a good day. Fade some chalk. Be unique with how you're approaching this one. Don't assume that last week's race is exactly the same thing that's going to happen here. I think that'll lead the day. That'll help. But of course, at the same time, I do love me some play stiff, cheap upside. So balance it out. And the Truex call or a Buescher call or whatever it is. Even somebody was saying earlier they're really excited about Ty Gibbs. I don't know if I am, but why not? Get crazy. Take
fade the chalk. Leave all the Eric Jones exposure to me. That's my job.
Taco will have 95% Eric Jones today, so do with that what you will. Meanwhile, I got to run. You got to run. DFS Army, Taco's Fast 40 podcast. Like, subscribe, notify, crush this race. For DFS Army subscribers, notes will be out. We try to get the podcast done early. Cheat sheets, notes coming soon, so you'll have all of that before the race starts. Go buy your mom some flowers, motherfuckers. What's wrong with you? All right.
Go crazy.
Take care, everybody.
Helmets up.